Hello, 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 and welcome to 2012. Happy New Year. This is the first of, well, it's in a sense the last of the old blogs. It's been a while since I've actually done a blog, certainly in this room, and certainly to you in this fashion. I've just been doing snippets and things as we reach the end of the run of Storyteller 2011. And this is the beginning of Storyteller 2012, so this is a whole new set of stories, well, almost, and a whole new way of doing things. One of the things I noticed about doing the blogs last year for the Natural History of Trolls and for Ghost Storyteller was that the stories were inevitably not something I actually talked very much about. I said when I first started doing the blogs I was going to tell you about the process and how I worked, and I did very little of that, primarily because those stories were dependent on a certain element of surprise. They worked because you didn't know how they were going to end or how all the pieces were going to fit together, so I found very quickly I couldn't actually talk about them. Now this year I'm doing something slightly different. I'm still working towards doing a 6-week run at Barons Court Theatre, my little home from home in London, and doing a selection of shows there, but actually only a percentage of that material will be new. I am writing 2 new shows, in theory 2, I said this last year. I said last year I was going to do 3 different stories, and I ended up doing 2, and even one of those was not the one I intended to write. So this year I am going to draw you into the process more, as I intend to, as I said last year I was going to do this, and I didn't. I'm going to do a revamped version of an old story, which was quite short. It is now a full-length story, The Examiner of Small Ailments. That is now rewritten as The Examiner of Beauty, and I'm going to be producing that and starting work on that very soon. This is going to be a process that's going to take the whole year, as there's a whole series of exciting things I want to do, and I don't know how to do them, and I need to find collaborators and people to help me make those things happen. That is going to premiere at the Barons Court Theatre at the end of the year, end of November 2012, along with 2 other main shows. I'm going to do 2 weeks per story. So first 2 weeks is going to be The Examiner of Beauty, and then it's going to be a story which I threatened to do last year and I didn't write in the end. And I didn't write it not because I didn't really have time. I didn't really have time. That's not the reason I didn't write it. I didn't write it because I couldn't think of what the plot was. I had a vague idea what the story was. I knew what it was mostly about, but I didn't know what the plot was. I now know what the plot is. So that's going to be the second 2 weeks, is going to be the Attack of the Christmas Squirrels. So that's going to be our Christmas show. I don't know how many people are going to be involved in the Examiner of Beauty and the Attack of the Christmas Squirrels. I'm thinking it's going to be relatively small teams of storytellers, probably 3 or 4, but I don't know yet. They may spiral into much bigger numbers. And then after Christmas, into the new year of 2013, I'll do 2 weeks of the Ghost Storyteller show. And the Ghost Storyteller show is not going anywhere. It's this is what I'm doing at the moment. This week and next week I am mostly working on reworking elements of the Ghost Storyteller show. The run I did at Barons Court this year, and the 3 tryouts, which were all most part very successful, threw up various issues with the text that I need to adjust. Some of it's very, very good, very happy, not going to change anything. The story, The Wheel of Shame, is pretty much completely finished. I need to change a few words, that's all I intend to do with that. But the opening doesn't work properly yet. I cut too much out of it, basically. So I'm going to spend the next few weeks adjusting that. Then I'm going to record that and have that ready as a CD and have it published as a book, ready for hopefully some touring. This is something I said I was going to do last year as well, and in the end I only did 4 dates out of town. I intend to try and get 12 in the autumn period, in the run-up to the 6 weeks at Barons Court. At the same time as all this, I am also doing a version of the Pickwick Papers. Just readings, like 2010 into 2011. when I did the complete Sherlock Holmes, I'm going to do complete reading of the Pickwick Papers. There will be a touring version, which I'll offer to various places. I've already got one place lined up, which will just be selection. Some very specific excerpts. I'm not going to do a complete cut down. I'm just going to find that it's full of nice little nuggets which perform very nicely, which I've just started looking at. But over at the same time as these other stories, which will be the sort of main house show, I will also slightly earlier in the evening do an hour of Pickwick Papers every day, which will work on the principle that you book a sort of season ticket rather than booking, so that you have the opportunity to see as many parts of it as possible. And partly to do that because it's the bicentenary of Dickens. I did play around for a long time. I really wanted to do Nicholas Nickleby, but I thought, no, let's do something that's a bit more episodic, something which can be enjoyed in smaller chunks better, though Nicholas Nickleby works very well that way. But I decided Pickwick Papers in the end. The alliteration one. Different kind of alliteration, P's rather than N's, but it was I prefer P's, I like a plosive. So, yes, it's quite a busy year. On top of that, I've got 2 community projects. I'm doing a production of The Admirable Crighton in my local village, and I'm also doing a production of The Passion, my version of the medieval mystery plays, The Passion section, for just a few weeks before the Olympic Games. Now, the reason why most of what I'm doing is aimed for the end of the year is to give me a bit more time to write. Attack of the Christmas Squirrels will take a while to write, and there's various editing jobs I need to do. I still need to work on the Examiner of Beauty, as it is now called. The text is basically done, but there'll be a lot of workshops and playing around. I say workshops, I mean rehearsals. I'm not going to muck around and say it's a workshop, I'm workshopping it, I'm rehearsing it. And I'll bring in various people because I want the Examiner of Beauty to have a lot more sound. I want that to have a weird atmosphere. It's full of strange dream sequences and things that I had so much fun doing before, but only in a sort of telling the story kind of way. And I want to create a slightly odd atmosphere for that. Attack of the Christmas Squirrels is going to be completely silly and open-hearted. Won't be quite a children's show. There will be an age limit on it, but it will go pretty low. And that's just going to be something fun for Christmas. And then Ghost Storyteller, I say, will return after Christmas in pretty much the form it's been in, just as a much more together show. It's always been a reading so far, so the Ghost Storyteller will now be a completely learnt, whole, blocked piece of theatre, as opposed to someone standing and reading stuff, even though that worked very well. There's one other show I'm thinking of doing. I'm also thinking of packing in, because what I want to do for Barrett's Court is have lots and lots and lots and lots of stories going on, so that people can dip in and out and come several times, because I do like to meet the audience, and I like to meet an audience several times and say hello and get to know them. I've had a number of people who have come back now a couple of years in a row, and have seen all the different permutations of the shows that I do. And so I want to create a nice deal so that people can come back, and so it doesn't really cost that much more than coming to see one show, because it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter so much. But there is one final. I want to do a Sunday night show, so there'll be whichever show's on for the first 2 weeks, Tuesday to Saturday, and then a different show on Sunday, because Sunday nights are weird. The timings are different. You have to do the show slightly earlier, so it's already slightly different to the rest of the run. And I want to do a spoof lecture on Shakespeare, because people say all sorts of random stuff about William Shakespeare. It's always quite surreal when you listen to what people come up with, when it's all fairly straightforward. So I'm going to do my own spoof version of that, told by an academic who's clearly having a psychotic break. And so I've had good fun sketching that out, and that's going to be the last show. So in theory, there will be 5 different shows going on at the same time over Christmas, which means there's a lot of preparation, which is why I'm not going to do very much in the first half of the year, apart from do a bit of directing. I would also like to write a play. I have got a play I've started to write called Complicated Pleasures. Yes, Complicated Pleasures is its working title. I don't know if it's going to keep that title. And that's something I will be looking at doing at some point in the future. And then after that, who knows? I should really thank everyone who has helped with Storyteller 2011, all those lovely people who were with us at the New Wimbledon studio and who were able to make it all the way through to the end. It was lovely with the Ghost Storyteller that a lot of the people who did the New Wimbledon version of Trolls was able to come in and be the special guest for the night. And that is one of the really nice things about this year. The previous year when I did Sherlock Holmes, I did it all by myself, and it was pretty much just me, and I turned up and I did the show and I went home again, and there's nothing more depressing than doing that. Whereas this year I've been surrounded by friends and colleagues and challenges, and it's really made the year so much better. And so that's a continuing theme for this year, is getting more people involved, getting new people involved. There will be auditions held later in the year, and just other collaborative meetings to see what other people can come up with. I want to create something more visual, something more oral, something more than just me telling a story. I know I can do that. That works very well, and when touring, that's probably what the shows will always be. But I do want to create an extra dimension to the shows from now on. So, it's been lovely talking to you. Haven't talked to you like this for ages. To all my friends in London and all around the world, in fact, who I haven't seen for a long time, Happy New Year. And to anyone who's just watching and interested, there are a good 20-30 other blog accounts from the past year, if you want to catch up with what I've been doing. It's all there on the website or on my my written blog, my proper blog as opposed to this vlog, at my blogger site. Just type in Robert Crighton Storyteller and you will probably find me on Google, or go to www.milkbottleproductions.co.uk and all the links are there. Once again, thank you very much everyone. Happy New Year!